Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Mrs. Best Reviews channel. I'm Mrs. Best. We are here to do our weekly recap of the Housewives of New Jersey. This is season 14, episode 12, titled Don't Trial This at Home. Thank thy heavens, whoever your higher power is. Thank the spirits, whatever the hell. Thank the apple on the nightstand. I am so glad we are near the end of this season. This show's been on my last nerve. I can't I like the show, but Teresa is not the same Teresa from like the beginning of the show. Obviously, she's people change, but like I don't know, it's not enjoyable to watch anymore when you see that like her antics will fall into family or whoever. So that's been kind of annoying for me to deal with. But nonetheless, you guys, as you see, I am alone for this recap. Mr. James from the Watch Your Mouth Reviews channel is moving. So he is currently without internet. He will be getting internet very, very soon, and then he will join us again next week for, I believe, the final episode of this season, and well, the finale. And then we're gonna have that stupid, like, mock reunion or whatever they tried to create with that. But James will join us, and I'll be on his channel also later this week. He has some unpopular opinion videos that will be coming, so be sure to be on the lookout for that and subscribe to his channel. The link's still in the description. Let's start our recap with the episode though, y'all. So I didn't like when they're showing all the like families and just cohabitating in their houses. Danielle, why is your child who is under the age of 10 joking about boners? Why? I don't understand. Do you guys understand? I didn't feel it was cute. I didn't feel it was comical. I didn't feel it was funny. And I could tell that Nate was also like, okay, this is weird. Because she was like, Daddy and this guy can touch boners. I'm like, what? And she's just giggling. Now, let me tell you, certain types of people, there's cultural differences when it comes to raising your child. I could not curse as a little girl. I could not curse in my parents' presence as a teenager. I'd get my ass whipped. So, or even if I didn't get my ass whipped, like my mama could look at me and I would know if I have said something that was inappropriate. That little girl said that, and Danielle's just joking. And she told her, like, no, don't say it. And then the little girl continued. I don't think any child, even a little boy under the age of 10, should be discussing and joking about boners. That's just my personal opinion. But everybody feels different. But I just didn't feel it was appropriate or necessary for the TV. Moving on, Jennifer Aiden gives the rundown to Bill on the event that happened with all the ladies, and she lets him know that she exposed to the women that she likes to milk his prostate. Now, I don't know if Jen realized what she was saying, but now that I saw Bill's reaction, I do think she knew what she was saying. I think Bill might be into that. I am not going to explain to everyone on the YouTube streets what it means to milk a prostate because I would like to monetize on this video. However, that's weird. That's not something I would be willing to do for my partner. I'd probably run to the courthouse. You know, I probably would really run and get that paperwork filed. That's not for me. But okay, whatever. The concern is that Bill did not deny it. So that's interesting. Moving on, Jennifer has not learned is she's still calling Danielle's husband a little bitch boy. Jennifer, the whole reason you got smacked upside your head, aside from pushing that girl, is because you pushed her off to points where she had to make you snap to push her because you was talking about her husband. Watch yourself, Miss Jennifer. You cannot play with people's husbands. Just because you and your husband were put into an arranged marriage and the love has fizzled out doesn't mean that everybody else is that way. And when it comes to her husband, Danielle seems to be like Teresa, where she will protect hers at any cost. And I'm the same way over my husband. I'm not going to lie to you. Mr. Best will probably advocate for me. One day I'll have him come on this live. Like, he will tell y'all, I do not play about my husband. I don't care if you a boy, a girl, or a damn unicorn. I feel like, the people shall respect also best. Anywho, it was just rude. Bill, listen, I feel bad for Bill Aiden. I do. He really does seem like a nice guy. Um, he's been the parent that wants to discipline the kids more. Meanwhile, Jen is just spoiling them, even though she has the time and ability to be a stay-at-home mom and teach them, not just spoil them. So I don't know. I don't feel like Bill likes her, and he's got to be with her just because his culture is near and dear, and he respects the sanctity of arranged marriage, which it is something that's done in their culture. So moving on, y'all. Dolores is on the phone and she's planning a group trip. I also think it's so smart that Dolores is the one planning the group trip because Dolores is the only one that can get along with everybody except Jackie. She don't like Jackie. And one thing I like about Dolores is once she off of you, she's off of you. I love it. I love it. But she wants to put Jennifer and Teresa in the guest house. She finds this great home that has a guest house in the back that's nice. And she wants Teresa and Jennifer Aiden to go in the back, which I think is appropriate. Even though everyone else may not be close, they know how to coexist. And even if they have a disagreement, they can have a disagreement without it being, I'm not filming, I'll never speak to you again. And Teresa and Jennifer Aiden, Jennifer pushes people to the point where they never want to deal with her again or it gets violent. And Teresa, with the stuff with her brother and stuff, she does stuff to people, or Louis does, that makes them not want to deal with them. They are the problems on this show. So I absolutely think they should go. Uh, And I don't know if y'all saw the news. There's like an interview going around where Andy Cohen pretty much was like a reboot could be coming and allegedly all of this cast would be scrapped. I mean, I know people like to feel a certain way, but honestly, I think that most of the Real Housewives franchises need a fresh start. They need to like stop making it to where people can be on Housewives for, for example, Candy Burris was on Housewives for like 14 seasons or something crazy like that. She joined Atlanta season 2 and she left for the last season ended. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like it would be a good thing to do. Maybe make it to where, every 10 years, that's a decade, you change the housewife if you haven't, had to for other reasons. Like, and make it a whole new set of housewives. Every 10 years, we should just get a new set of housewives for New Jersey or whatever. And then, you know, we won't always end up in situations like this with casting. Because personally, I think if they got rid of Teresa, Marge, Melissa, and Jennifer, I feel like they could keep this cast going and just add some extra people. But, everybody feels different. Comment your opinions on how you guys feel. I definitely want to hear them. I definitely want to hear them. Moving on, you could tell production made these ladies plan this trip together. That's all. That's clear too. Now, Marge and Jen Fessler meet, and Jennifer Fessler tells Marge that Teresa has a lawyer and that they have found court findings on her. Marge says that Teresa has the same attorney from when she went to prison. I was weak. It was how Marge said it. Like, the attorney couldn't have been that great if she went to prison. I'm just saying. But Marge explains that Teresa's attorney is unprofessional to even meet with the other ladies on camera to discuss her and how she relates to this court case, which I do agree with Marge. He may have been legally careful with how he does it, which we'll see later, but I would not trust an attorney that would do something like that. And I don't trust anybody that has anything to do with Teresa. I just don't. Now, Marge then says that she's going to call Dolores when she finds this news out, and Fessler tries to stop her. Yeah, but I agree with Marge. Marge is calculated and tactical with what she does. Like, Marge thinks before she speaks, moves, all of it. So she, in my mind, what I got is Marge is going to try and call all these people, act pissed off, and see who she could get to not go. That's what I got from it, which to me made Marge look a little bit guilty. But, so Marge basically tells Dolores, like, why throw an event to discuss me, especially with an attorney? Like, that's weird. But I kind of felt like, Marge, didn't you have everybody meet with you so you could tell them what Louis did to your son? It's essentially the same thing in different form. I don't agree with what Teresa's doing and feel like the attorney will be full of poop. But at the same time, Marge has also done something similar, you know. But the something similar also comes from Louis calling her son, and that's basically a threat to Marge. You don't play with people's kids, so it's a nasty game of back and forth. That's why I don't go back and forth with people, y'all. My block game is strong. You play with me once, I'm done forever. That's the new attitude I've had in my 30s. I don't have time. Once you show me who you are, I believe you and move accordingly. That's it. And for my way to move accordingly, I just block all contact and communication. And if I see you in public, I don't. I don't see you. I see the sky, the stars, the moon, you know? Um, but she then calls Danielle after telling Dolores her friends would never engage in this foolery. And Marge, you had to know you get nowhere with Dolores because Dolores has known Teresa the longest. Before the cameras, before the husband, Dolores has known Teresa the longest. So you wasn't getting nowhere with that. Dolores has the ability to be your friend, but she'll always have a loyalty to Teresa. It's kind of similar to my relationship with James. Like, if we could not talk for a long time, but no one's ever, I'm always choose him, if that makes sense. So that's just some friends you've known. I've known James, y'all, since I was 14. So, when you know someone that long, and I believe Teresa and Dolores have known each other since teen years, there's a certain loyalty that people just expect. Anywho, Marge says her friends wouldn't engage in a foolery. She then calls Danielle. She didn't get nowhere with that. And Jim Fessler apologized to Marge and said that what was happening was not right. And then Jim Fessler's like, you know what? I shouldn't go. Marge, get rid of Jen as a friend. I know you want to keep someone that you've known for a long time, but the fact that it took her talking to you to understand that, let her go. Jen Fessler and Jackie Goldsnyder are so freaking thirsty. And Jennifer Aiden, she's desperate to be like, it irks my soul. It really does irk my soul. Moving on, you guys. Joe Gorga is throwing a boys' night. And John Fuda, what the hell are you wearing? The joke against Louis was it was a little funny, but then I also felt like it was corny in the same at the same time. Cause it's like, let it go. That was from like last season. For those who don't know, Louis said that he sleeps in Joe Gorga and Teresa's father's who's passed on pajamas so that her and the kids can feel comfort. Why the fuck would they feel comfort because you're in some dead guy's pajamas? That was just weird of Louis and proved that he was shady. But I didn't understand why Fuda had to like bring the pajamas and make the joke against Louis because I don't think he realized by making the joke against Louis, you're kind of making a mockery, in my opinion, of his father who passed on. Like, I don't know. It just annoyed me. It was weird, but it was funny. I'm not gonna lie. I chuckled. Marge calls Joe and tells him about the event that Teresa is throwing while at this boys' night that the men are having. And Marge is acting really guilty, y'all. I'm going to say it again by calling all these people. But either way, Teresa's wrong for what she's doing. But Teresa's not smart, and obviously her lawyer's not either. Smart people know to hire better lawyers than this man. That's all I'm going to say. Marge then mentions Louis and says that apparently Louis told Teresa, allegedly, because I ain't trying to deal with them, that he spent $400,000, which is almost $500,000 on an attorney. Who spends that kind of money on an attorney? Who spends that kind of money on an attorney with an old leather jacket? Please explain it to me. And it is in the news that allegedly Louis has misappropriated a lot of Teresa's money because we know that Teresa's the one making money because his companies are being investigated allegedly by the FBI. Google it, go on Instagram, wherever you go. So, I feel like Louis is gonna like bleed her dry and then dip. Kind of like Joe Judice. So she is a type. Um Anywho, the men then before we get there, Frank Catania shows up, who James, our regular co-host on this show, he love him some Frank Catania. I'd be cracking up. But Frank Catania shows up to Joe Gorga's house, and I was glad because, you know, Frank, you're not with Dolores no more, so you can keep your allegiance to the Gorgas. You absolutely can. Because who wants to deal with Teresa? And Louis is creepy. And remember, a couple seasons ago, we saw in the reunion that Louis did something shady involving Frank and his son. And ever since then, it seems like Frank has turned off of him, and Dolores refused to discuss it. I feel like she should have. Personally, I don't like that. And I feel like she didn't just to be loyal to Teresa. But I know that Louis did something shady with them. And I think it shows by how Frank chooses his loyalty. Moving through, y'all like the video. I appreciate you. It does support me. I would also love if you comment to your opinions so I can know how y'all felt about the episode. We see the men take shots of bone marrow, which, ugh, nope. And bone marrow's been like popular. It's like trending right now, kind of like oat milk, and there's always some sort of random like edible something that's trending. Anywho, Fuda has some sort of allergic reaction to me because they were taking shots and Fuda was like, "I'll take the bottle," you know. I think he drank all that liquor at once and it probably hit his body. Like, what the hell? And they were obviously hungry because they kept picking at that steak. So, you know, I feel like a piece of it's an allergic reaction, but at the same time, he could have been having a reaction to the alcohol. He took Benadryl. It was so funny because this man's like, my throat's closing. And Joe Gorga pees in front of him. Meanwhile, Joe Benigma, who is Marge's husband, probably because of his own health scare he's going through, it's like, no, that's anaphylactic. That's anaphylactic. Call the ambulance. Call the ambulance. He's going to the producers. They're like, we called, we called. I like that about Joe Benigna. He missed his calling. Instead of being a contractor or whatever the hell he is, he should have been a fire fighter or an EMT, first responder of some sort, because he was so ready and concerned to take action. Call his wife, call this person. I said, you know what, Joe, you go, Joe. I liked how he took it serious, but you know, the ambulance does come and it turns out that his oxygen was extremely low. He probably drank too fast. I think I remember something when I was in school. If you drink like certain amounts of something super fast or even do certain drugs at a super, you know, fast rate and a super large rate, it can impact your body. An example, when people do the rich man's drug of cocaine, if you do too much of it, heart rate. That's why heart attacks can be something that's a concern. So, you know, different things affect you differently, and alcohol is a substance, whether people want to acknowledge it or not. And yeah, but I just think he got drunk too fast. But his oxygen was low, and I'm glad that Joe ensured and production that he got an ambulance. And John Fuda, stop trying to prove yourself. You're accepted. The guys like you. You get along well. You don't have to be the drunkest. John Fuda reminds me of a younger Joe Gorga. Because Joe Gorga used to be like that. I got to be the drunkest and the, like, you know, they always had to talk about their past. I didn't grow up rich. I worked for them. They remind me of each other. And it makes sense they're getting along. Now, on the other end of things, Louis is also having a guy's night and it's whack. I'm not even gonna lie, they look bored. He Louis talks about, oh, we all work hard. Louis, the only thing you're working hard at is allegedly scamming Teresa. That's about it. Uh Anywho, moving forward, Teresa says she receives the text from Jim Fessler stating she wouldn't be there because she's loyal to Marge, and Teresa blames Marge for that. Teresa, it's the same thing that Dolores does for you. Get over yourself, girl. Now, Teresa also says that the court ruled in Louis' favor regarding the domestic violence case involving his ex, and she swears that she is not trying to expose Marge, but that is what she is exactly doing. Um, I want Teresa to speak on the other cases that Louis had that she was aware of at the time of filming, because she's trying to make it sound like this was the one case. And why are you so stressed out if this man gets a restraining order or not? Now, the judge didn't rule that the restraining order needed to stick, but Louis is not following this woman. He's in the public eye. It would be very difficult for him to. So that could be why the judge did that. Just because a restraining order is not awarded does not mean that the man is not guilty. Oftentimes in domestic violence, and y'all can check stats, they're not always going to be able to catch everything. Restraining orders can get dismissed. I mean, I watched my own mom go through it, unfortunately, growing up. So, you know, not every restraining order was granted. It's just the way it is. The system's actually, in my opinion, broken when it comes to protecting victims of domestic violence. But that's just my little side note. Um, Moving on, I don't care what happened with Court Tree. Uh, Dolores says that the house that they were going to go on the cast trip and stay at, it burned down to the ground. And this did make the news and the tabloids and all of that stuff and social media. Um, why couldn't they just find another house? But I did agree with Paul when he said to Dolores, it's a sign. And based on what we know of how this season ends, I agree. I think there's always a sign when something's right or wrong in life. And this was definitely wrong. Um, moving on, we meet James Leonard, Teresa's shady lawyer. The way he looks like one of the gangsters on Goodfellas, not an actual attorney. I like that's what I got from it. I did not trust anything about this attorney, and his leather jacket looked dirty. Um, but why is everybody so sad about Teresa's stress? Why are y'all so impacted by Teresa's stress? But when Rachel's genuinely stressed in tears, and Marge is going through it with a husband who could potentially have cancer, Jennifer Aiden was alone because Bill didn't like her and wanted to be in the pool house. Like, I don't understand how everybody else's stress was like, but when it comes to Teresa's, oh my God. Well, she wasn't that powerful because everybody who was kissing her ass and brown nosing and all that because you thought it was going to keep you on the show. Well, now allegedly there might be a reboot, and none of these people, including Teresa, could be here. So that's why you don't kiss nobody ass. You never know where it could end. But moving on, she has nothing to be stressed over anymore since the case is over. She's so whack. She brings the lawyer, and he basically says, I've known them since her situation with the jail, and she's more stressed now than when she was when I walked her into jail at 3 o'clock in the morning. Who goes to jail at 3 a.m.? That's so strange. But you know what? Jail does do weird stuff like that, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. Jails do weird stuff like that. They release you at 4 a.m. and all sorts of crazy stuff. Uh, but I highly doubt that Teresa was less stressed going to jail and being away from her daughters than she was to deal with this domestic violence situation that had nothing to do with her. So the attorney basically says that Marge was subpoenaed to court relating to the case because she had a relationship with Louis' ex where they were discussing things, which Marge has admitted before prior. But they say that Marge was subpoenaed to the court and she did not show up. And Marge told Louis' ex, who was filing for the restraining order against him, that she was going to expose Teresa and Louis. So basically, what's the attorney told us is that Margaret is getting information from Louis' ex and vice versa. I'd like to say to everybody, no new information from this meeting with the attorney was given. Teresa, you are a dingbat and you need to get a tutor because it doesn't make any sense that you literally had this man come to your house on camera to tell us a bunch of stuff that we've already known. Secondly, Jennifer, why are you trying to use Marge's ex best friend Laura as an example? It proves that everybody is shady. Everybody is shady. And then we get the legendary floral arrangement. The doorbell rings, and Teresa's like, I wonder who this is. And she opens the door, and there's a big, beautiful floral arrangement, but it looks like the floral arrangement you give for when someone dies. Marge is petty. And the card said, RIP to your dignity. Teresa was so mad. She slammed the door in front of the flower delivery guy. Next week, they say, is the finale. Y'all, that was the funniest thing. Thank you, Margaret, for that. I know people don't like Marge and are saying, oh, what was corny, but that shit was funny as hell. She said, oh, everybody want to show up? RIP to your dignity. And the reason Marge said that is because anything exposed at this meeting, we've already known about. So stupid. Teresa's just really not smart. It's sad. I'm so grateful that her children are in college and had good teachers because otherwise I do not know. I do not know what she would have done. But I would like to say this. The one part of the story that bothered me, if you're subpoenaed legally, you have to show up to court. If you don't show up to court, you can be fined, held in contempt. There's a lot that can happen, right? So if Marge was subpoenaed and did not show up, I feel like there would be some record of it. Now, no, the court doesn't always like come for you because I'm not gonna lie. There's been a jury duty I ain't show up to. I've been subpoenaed to a case twice. Once I did not show up. The other I did. Nothing happened to me. That's when I was young and dumb, y'all. By the way, but nothing happened to me. So I don't know New Jersey law. I just know California law. But I do know with subpoenas that you have to show up. So if Marge did not show up, that means that either her lawyer got her out of it. She could have, you can also talk to the DA, who's usually the person who subpoenas you, and you can let them know or like why you can't come or state your claim as to why you think you should not have to. And sometimes that will get you out of it as well. I've also done that before related to a court case. So if Marge didn't have to show up to court and nobody did anything, then that says to me she was not vital to this case whatsoever. If she was vital to the case, they would have had her do it virtually. They would have taken a statement from her, a sworn statement. There's a lot of different things that they could have done. But instead, they left it alone, which tells me that she is not relevant to the case between Louis and the ex. Now, what Marge is guilty of is talking to this ex. Because, Marge, why are you trying to get information on your castmates? That's not good. That's blackmail. That's bribery. I don't like that. Why are you talking to the ex of somebody who, at the time when she was talking to the ex, she was not cool with Teresa? No, stop trying to produce in the background and just be on the show, Marge, without doing all this extra stuff. Please, it's really annoying. But that's pretty much where the episode ended, you guys. I was not shocked by anything that came out at this event. Teresa, bless her heart. That's what I'll say. But the finale is next week, I believe. And James should be back, you guys, on that time. Check the description of this video for a link to his channel. For those who don't want to click the link, somebody had messaged me about that. The way that you get to James's channel, youtube.com/@ watch yo mouth reviews 833. For those who want to know, subscribe to the channel, like the video. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you next time. Adios.